Hi everybody, I'm Alex Ducellier-Muller and this is dressage schooling exercises. Today we're doing Zig Zag Leg Yields and I'm riding Sorja. Sorja is my she's 8-year-old Mustang mare. I got her straight from the BLM in, I guess 3 years ago, so she was 5. And I've done all the handling on her myself, all the gentling. So if you've ridden with me in the last 10 days or so, you probably have done this exercise. I made it up on a whim for my younger students to help them figure out connection, how to put a horse, what I call in the box, meaning between your lateral aids and between your driving and restraining aids. And it worked quite well for that purpose. And then I started using it on horses who needed a little bit of suppling or needed slightly better connection. So Sorja struggles a little bit with connection. She wants to get stabby with her hind leg instead of stepping through. And when she does, she stiffens her jaw and hollows, you'll see. So I played with this exercise today and I quite like it. So I hope you enjoy. For this exercise, you need 3 poles and 3 markers of some sort. I used standards. And so you can see here I've laid out 1 pole here. And the idea is that you start out tracking right and you trot over the pole and then do a 10-meter circle around your marker. I actually didn't place that pole wide enough. And then you go back over the pole and do a leg yield off of your left leg. So there will be a change of bend and then a leg yield. And you go over the other pole, which is obviously offset, and do a circle to the left. And so when I start this exercise, I'm trotting my circles and I'm walking my leg yields. And then you go straight over the pole and leg yield off the right leg to reach your third pole. So the first and the third pole are straight in line. The middle pole is offset. And then you do a right hand circle around your marker. So as you can see here in the beginning, Sorja stiffens and hollows. So she stiffens her lower back, stiffens in the jaw every time I change the flexion. And then here at the end of the arena, I'm going to do a turn on the forehand away from my left leg to change direction. So Sorja's a pretty hot little sensitive pony. She tries really hard, which is actually sometimes not a great thing because she overreacts to the aids. So then I repeat the exercise the other way. So I'll do a 10-meter circle, and I really don't mind whether they step over the pole in rhythm or not. The pole is just there to keep you accountable for being really straight. So we want their chest to stay perpendicular to the pole, so they should keep their chest pointed straight ahead through that leg yield. And you want to make sure that you're changing the flexion adequately, and then back to trot and do your 10-meter circle. I'm really sorry about the lighting on my phone. I'm not sure why it keeps like auto adjusting the exposure, but it's getting dark and getting light, and so I'll have to figure that out before my next video. And then I go over the pole, change the flexion to the left because I'm leg yielding away from the left leg, and then back to trot and doing the 10-meter circle. So you can, I think, tell by watching how much Sorja tries. She's like a little bit hot, a little bit tight, and keeps overreacting to all my aids, especially the changes in flexion. So this exercise is quite good for her because it makes her accept my aids and like slow everything down a little bit. It's also really good for horses that tend to lean one direction or another, or like I said earlier, kids that are just figuring out how to put their horse like in the box to make them really connected between their aids. So here's where Sorja likes to stiffen. So as I change the flexion from the right to the left, she always wants to give me a little like hollow step. There it is. and then she accepts the left leg. So I quite like this exercise for her because of all the changes of flexion and changes of direction. And I think you can see as I continue through the exercise that she becomes more and more accepting of that change of flexion. This way is not nearly as hard for her. And so here, as I've gone through the exercise now, I guess twice, I'm trotting the whole exercise. So that's the second scaffold. The first was trot your 10-meter circle, walk your leg yield, and now I'm trotting the whole exercise. So you can see her overreacting to my leg here. I want her to slow down and like take one step at a time. So in doing this exercise, I realized that I probably don't do enough really slow controlled turns on the forehand with her. And that's in my to-do list for the future. I do like the trot here. I think it's starting to get a little bit looser. It looks like she's taking a slightly bigger step. I don't like those stiffening steps. So you can see, like, as I change the flexion, how hard that is for her to stay soft through her back and soft all the way up over her top line. But because she doesn't have a supernatural, like, big trot, I like this exercise. Obviously, that stiffening was quite uncomfortable. But here I think she's starting to take a slightly longer step with a slightly slower tempo, which is obviously a good thing. So here I would really prefer the turn on the forehand to be slower, like the last step I liked. But I want her to articulate her joints just a little bit more and like more carefully put her inside hind under her body. And she's in such a rush to get it done that she's kind of hustling through it. I do like that trot quite a bit though, so we'll see how the stiffening is still there, but I think that was a little bit better. What I felt as I rode through this was that she got just a little bit more accepting each time I did it, where I felt like instead of her just like setting her jaw, stiffening her back and hollowing, she tried really hard to stay more aligned underneath me and stay softer in her jaw. So again, in that leg yield, I'm working really hard to make sure that her chest stays perpendicular to the poles. So that's really the purpose of the poles being there, to provide a visual like for where you need to end up, and also to make you like double check that you're staying really straight. So when you do go over the pole, you should be totally perpendicular to the pole. So that step was a little bit better. That one was better as well. I don't want her front legs to move so much, but I like there where she was slightly more thoughtful about where to put her inside hind leg. And I do start turn on the forehand like pretty early. Like all my kids do turn on the forehand. All of my green horses, the second they have the basics, I kind of start the idea of turn on the forehand, where they start to be more aware of their body. And more aware that the leg can mean move laterally versus go faster. I like this trot. I like the last leg yield. I like here how she's getting more swing. So overall, I think this exercise is quite successful for her. And I actually continued to do it after we finished the video and was quite pleased. And I like that leg yield was much better in terms of her accepting my left aids and changing the flexion to the left without the dramatic stiffening. So I believe here I go and do one more turn on the forehand, and then I do the hardest version of this exercise, which is to canter your circles and trot your leg yields. That leg yield, or that turn on the forehand, is better. So even though she stiffened in the jaw and hollowed a little bit, she was much more careful with her hind leg stepping around. So in this version, you come over the pole and you do your 10-meter circle and canter. And then this is the hard piece, is riding the down transition. And I think this was pretty ugly. Down transition, change of flexion, and start your leg yield. So that's a lot, especially for the younger horses. But even my kiddos, my like 13-year-old riders, competing starter and training level dressage, did it quite successfully with a little bit of practice. That was better. So again, I'm not worried if they don't go over the trot pole in stride. It's really not that important to me. My dog got in the way. So I like that canter, especially for her. That's a pretty soft, like easy, cooperative canter rather than like the tight bracy canter she sometimes gives me. So I'm still trying to get her to accept this leg slowly. So that was a better step. I like the last 2 steps a lot better. So I know I already said this, but now I know I have to go back and do that more frequently. That transition was a little bit more through as well. And I quite like the down transition. I felt like she stepped through and stayed soft. And so when she overreacts to my leg and hollows, I just quietly keep my leg on and kind of sink down through the back of my butt to see if she won't accept the leg without overreacting. I like the canter here. And so I'm going to half halt there. That was probably one of the better changes to left flexion there. And one of the better up transitions. So I quite like this exercise. I hope you all enjoy it. I will see you next time.